So, I mean, the folks at home are all trying to get better by watching this video, trying to get some tips to improve.
Yeah.
I mean, what's it take to get better? I mean, you've gone from a high school golfer to a college golfer, from a college to a professional golfer, and all those steps allowed you to get better. And you got to get better along the way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are some of the ways they can get better, or what is really the difference between, I guess that's two questions, the difference between a high school golfer and a college golfer?
Difference between a high school and college golfer. To be a high school golfer good enough to play in college, I would say, give or take, you probably need to average about 36 for 9 holes.
Okay.
Most high schoolers are playing 9-hole matches.
Right.
I would say if you average 36 for 9 holes, you're good enough to play at a Division I college.
Wow.
That's a key. Now, getting there is a different question entirely. How do you get that good? I mean, you're not going to shoot 36 for 9 holes without a good short game.
Right.
Somebody who wants to get
better. So the guys at home really, they're just trying to get better. They got to focus on their short game, is what you're saying?
Yeah, anybody who wants to get better, I can pretty much guarantee them that if they spend all of their time 100 yards and in, they're going to improve in their game more than anywhere else in their golf game. I mean,
right.
the numbers say that you hit more shots inside of 100 yards, period. Whether you're good or bad, you're going to hit more shots inside of 100 yards than anywhere else. So it just makes sense to devote most of your time to that area. And we've got a bunch of things to tackle that.
So I've heard stats like putting's like 42% of the game, and chipping is like 20. Inside 100 yards is like 23% of the game, so that's like 65%. So I mean, really, what you're saying is like 2/3 of your shots are inside 100 yards.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. And the best way to putt it better is to chip it closer. Right.
Exactly.
It all kind of feeds on itself. If
right.
I keep chipping the ball to 40 feet and I 3-putt
right.
and I blame my putting, it's like, well,
right.
which do you blame? So you need to hammer down on all of it inside of 100 yards. And if somebody's trying to break 100 or 90 or 80 or whatever their threshold is,
right.
I can almost guarantee that if they look at their short game, they'll find it. If they, if they just put the time in there, that is going to be the time best spent.
And for the folks that are home or someone watching this video, maybe you have a son or daughter that wants to maybe one day play professional golf or college golf. I know this is probably a long answer, but I mean, what are some things they should be doing to prepare their son or daughter? Let's say they want to get a college scholarship, and maybe one day from there, and maybe that's a separate question, is going from there to the nationwide PGA Tour. What are some advice you would give them?
Yeah,
work hard.
That's practice. That's a long answer.
When you say practice, I mean, how many hours a day? Some people think, oh, if I hit balls in a couple hours.
It's like anything else. If you want to do something for a living and you expect to get paid well, it needs to be a full-time job. Right. I mean, there are not many part-time people who
right.
who make a good living. So you gotta, and it sounds like a lot, but when you figure out that there are, hundreds of other golfers in the country who all have the same time you do in order to get better, you need to do something to outpace the competition, and you need to treat it like a full-time job. In terms of...
So we were talking a little bit, I gave you a lot of questions there, but so for going from a high school golfer that wants to play in college and maybe earn a college scholarship, what types, are they playing in different tournaments than kids that aren't doing that type? I mean, how does that all...
Yeah, high school golf is good experience, get you playing on a team. Is actually very similar to college. But if you want to be on the radar for a college golf coach to be looking at you, your high school golf scores aren't going to do it, because there's just so many high schools in the country
right.
that they don't have time
right.
to weed through them all.
Right.
So it's more important to play national golf tournaments. Local tournaments are good. You can play in your local section tournaments.
What are some national tournaments?
National tournaments would be like the one that I played in when I was younger is the American Junior Golf Association.
Okay.
AJGA is what everybody calls it. That one, if you're playing in tournaments like those, they have a process to get in. But if you're playing in those tournaments, you're on the radar.
Okay.
Which is half the battle into getting into college, because some people don't get to play golf in college simply because coaches aren't aware of them.
Right.
Now, if they've got enough determination, they can pull it off, but it's a lot easier if they play national golf tournaments.
Okay. And so take me through, so now you were a college golfer at UC Irvine, right? And
Correct.
So then how did you go from being a UC Irvine golfer to now you're on the nationwide tour? I know that was quite a bit of time and work, but
yeah, it was time and work. First of all, you can't do it without help. It is expensive to travel and play golf, and unless you're one of the rare 10 phenoms who everybody hears about because
right.
they're phenoms.
Right.
If you're in the other category, which I was, You need people to help you out. You need people to support you. And so that's a big part of it. But in terms of playing, if you don't get out, get through Q school your first year, I personally believe it's extremely important to simulate, Nationwide and PGA Tour as closely as you can by playing tours that play 4-round tournaments, with a 2-day cut. You're wearing pants, you're walking, you're doing all the things that you would be doing. So when you do move up to that next level, you stay there and you're used to it. Because the first time I ever got into a PGA Tour event, I got there and there were so many bells and whistles. It was unbelievable. I had no chance. I didn't know it at the time, but I had no chance. I mean, I was scattered. I had no idea what was going on.
And to be organized.
It was completely foreign to me because I hadn't done it. And so then I practiced it for a few years. I got as close as I could to it, playing on some mini tours. And now that I've got Nationwide Tour status, I played my first event last week, and it truthfully feels the same because I've been doing it for years. And I didn't see the value of it until I went through the whole process. But if I had advice to give somebody, go through that process, get the experience, and you'll be thankful for it later.
And finally, so when are you going to go from the Nationwide Tour to the PGA Tour?
I wish I could tell you. I hope it's sooner rather than later, but that's the goal. Awesome. I'll let you know that at the end of the year. We'll see.
Right. Great.